This is Bob again. It is June 17th, Wednesday, the second of 3 hearings that the Metro Council is holding on the Supplemental Draft Environmental Impact Statement, quite a mouthful, for Southwest Light Rail. I am signed in again, and am the first person on the sign-in sheet. There's some anticipation there'll probably be more people here than last time. Yesterday there were 2 people at Hopkins. A little bit of an update at 5:50, about 10 minutes before the hearing starts. There are 2 people signed up at this point to speak. It looks like there's not quite as many people here as there were at Hopkins on Tuesday. Hi.
Hey Bob, how are you?
Well, pretty good. How are you?
Hanging in there. Did you ride your bike all the way out here?
I've got the bike here. I rode the last mile from Southwest.
Okay.
Did you bike here?
I did not.
Because I did see you biking over to the Quarter Management Committee.
I did bike to that meeting, yeah. I try to do what I can.
Got time for a quick question?
Sure.
Okay. Now, as you know,
I promise it'll be quick and quicker than some of your remarks are.
Yeah, well, here goes. So the legislatures, took back $30 million that had been appropriated for Southwest Light Rail. Now there's a total of $15 million they've appropriated, and the plan for $1.65 billion would be $165 million from the legislature. So
it'll be at 150.
Well, yeah, I was going to say there'd be $150 million short.
Yep.
Now, I talked to Speaker Dowd at the special session. He said the legislature is not putting any more money in next year. So, with $150 million there and another $150 matching, where are you going to get $300 million to get the $1.65 billion of funding?
Well, the funds are a little bit more complicated than that. There's HICRA's funds, CTIP's funds, and the state share. So the 150 that you talked about is the only amount that's in question. The rest of the whole local share is already accounted for, and it's up to us to make the case that the project warrants the other 150.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you do agree that with the 150 missing from the state, that really is 300 million because
no, it's not 300.
No, because it's.
You're talking about the feds matching it. Well, the feds don't match some of the money and not all of it. They match half of the entire non-federal share. So the question is, if the state share doesn't come through, can we find $150 million somewhere else?
Yeah.
And that would be up to us to do that, either through the Met Council or through other local governments that care about this project.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I appreciate it.
Sure.
The report is the sign-in sheet is still 2 people. It's 6 o'clock, so we should be getting ready to go here pretty quick. Bob again reporting. It's about 6:03, and it kind of looks like we're getting ready to go here with the public hearing. Chair Dunnick is here, so presumably he will be chairing the meeting. Just taking a visual survey here. As with yesterday at Hopkins, it doesn't look like there's very many people here in the members of the public in the audience. So we'll see how this goes. Last I checked, there's still 2 people signed up.
The room got quiet. That must mean it's time to start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thanks a lot for being here. Welcome. This is a hearing on the Supplemental DEIS. Being here by the Metropolitan Council, by myself, Adam Dunnick, and a bunch of council members, which I'm glad to introduce. Good evening. Jennifer Munt, who's been very active on this corridor, on the CAC. She co-chairs the CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee. Councilmember Deb Barber from she represents Scott and Carver County, both of those counties. And Councilmember Gary Cunningham, who represents Minneapolis and a couple of communities just north and west of Minneapolis. So good evening. Before we get to the more formal part of the program to take testimony and everything from the folks that have signed up, we're going to have a quick presentation from Nani Jacobson from the project office.
Going back to 2005, isn't it?
Thank you, Nani. Thanks for the presentation. Before we get started, I just want to recognize a few other folks who joined us. One, Councilmember Steve Chavez from Dakota County, and Hennepin County Commissioner Jan Calson. Thanks all for being here, Jan, for all your work on this project. Before we get started, just want to
mention a few kind of ground rules here. Tonight is focused on the draft EIS. There might be questions, other questions related to the project, certainly with what's been in the news over the last couple of months. Please feel free to talk to our project office staff about that and the council members and myself about that after the meeting. But for the purpose of the public hearing, it's to comment specifically on the supplemental draft environmental impact statement. Individuals will have up to 2 minutes to give their presentation, groups up to 3 minutes, and I just ask that you state your name and address for the record. I'll do my best to read the handwriting and pronounce your name, so hopefully as somebody who has his name routinely butchered, I'll try to do my best to pronounce everyone's names. And I also just want to remind everyone that if you're not interested in speaking tonight, you have other ways to comment via email and mail, and certainly with registering your comments with us here tonight in person. We did extend the public comment period 15 days to July 21st, so there still is just about a month, a little bit over a month to give comment. So with that, we'll begin going through the names. We've only have 5 people signed up tonight, so I'm not going to be as too strict of an enforcer on the time, but we do want to respect everyone else's time here who's here tonight. So first, we will hear from Bob Carney.
Thank you.
We're ready.
Oh yeah, Bob again, Carney Jr., Minneapolis, Minnesota, 4232 Colfax Avenue South. Just by way of disclosure, I'm a registered lobbyist for We the People, an informal association. I spoke yesterday, very briefly. First of all, the supplemental draft environmental impact statement, section 5.2, says remaining funding is assumed to come from the state 10%. Now, as many know at this point, the state legislature canceled $30 million in an appropriation from 2013 for Southwest Light Rail. That brings the total the state's put into about $15 million. The current plan, as I understand it, is to try to cut back from $2 billion to $1.65 billion. 10% of $1.65 billion is $165 million. So the state is $150 million short at this point. I talked with Speaker Dowd at the special session. I asked him, is there any chance of the legislature putting more money into Southwest Light Rail next year? He said no. So unless money comes from somewhere else, my understanding is CTIB said there's not going to go anywhere above 1.65. I don't know what Hennepin County has said. Unless money comes from somewhere else, there is a $300 million shortfall in the dollars available for the project. In addition, I'm very concerned about the idea of continuing to spend to get to the point where you say, well, we have to do it now because we spent so much. Now, the current reported number has been $59 million spent so far, but I have an email from a project engineer at Hennepin County who's working on this. I asked him what the current spending for the Railroad Authority has been, and he said $34 million. The number that I have from Met Council is $10.9 million. I'm showing actually the total spending is closer to $90 million, but my real concern is that when you look at the amount that is scheduled to be dispersed from CTIB this year and the amount that is budgeted for Hennepin County and has not yet been spent, we're looking at an additional $67.3 million. My real concern is that a very hard look needs to be taken at whether we should simply freeze spending at this point. This project is in such deep trouble. It has been cut already so substantially in terms of threatening viability, and now the money available is in such doubt that we simply need to stop and take a look at whether we should simply put a freeze and go back to the drawing board. Thank you.